out of my generation or my millennial, for that matter, that I'm one of the most innovative youth to this day.
So how did that come to be?
That's what he believed. Not fame, not money, but impact. And today, even after his death, those words hit harder than ever. XXXTentacion wasn't perfect. He was scarred, broken, hated, praised. But in his short time on Earth, he sparked a fire inside millions. This video isn't just a tribute. It's a reminder that Dwayne Ricardo Onfroy was more than a headline. He was a mirror for a generation, a voice for the voiceless, a legend carved from pain. And these are the moments, the words, the truths he left behind. XXXTentacion didn't graduate from school. He didn't sit in classrooms. But in every concert, he taught something most people never learn. Through pain, through mistakes, through a life that broke him before he even turned 18. He was locked up young, judged early, hated loudly. But the only thing that kept him alive was music. And you, his audience. On stage, he didn't just perform. He opened wounds and healed others. He spoke about self-worth, about staying alive, about fighting depression, not as a teacher, but as a survivor. And that's what made him powerful. XXXTentacion's greatest lesson didn't come from books. It came from scars and the mic he held like it was his last breath.
With it, that matters. You are all gods of your own. You are all gods. You are all the greatest beings in the fucking planet. You just have to make the right decisions.
XXXTentacion's school life wasn't just rough. It was war. He was kicked out, isolated, and misunderstood. Not because he didn't have potential, but because no one knew how to handle a mind that thought differently. But X didn't fold. Instead, he started gathering people around him, not for fun, but for purpose. Young boys just like him, wild, wounded, but full of fire. They didn't wear suits. They wore pain, dreams, and headphones. Together, they began shaping something bigger than school could ever teach. A movement. They talked music, breathed rhythm, slept inside verses. Their vision wasn't clouded by money or fame. It was crystal clear. To be heard, to break out. This was more than a crew. It was therapy through sound. And then, one day this happened.
What's insanity for bastards? A little of vanity, more sanity will be cashed in half, but I'll leave them half alive in a basket. And if you're not a savage, come to the man.
When you choose life, yeah.
Pain is everything. You know what I'm saying? If you choose to suffer through the pain, you strong. But
so the music is your outlet.
He loved his mother. He loved his father. He loved the idea of family. But society didn't love him back. As a young boy, he wasn't trying to be a criminal. He was just trying to survive a world that kept pushing him down. Then came the case, the moment that changed everything. Still a child, suddenly branded a menace. The people he trusted vanished. No one came to help. And inside those cold jail walls, X faced a level of pain no teenager should ever know. Betrayal, isolation, hopelessness. But even then, he refused to die inside. Music became his only weapon, his only escape. Every verse, every beat carried that pain, raw, unfiltered. He once said, "I'm alive but dead." And in that moment, you hear not just words. You hear the cry of a broken boy who turned his suffering into sound. This is that pain.
Listen, I'm gonna walk on your shoulders. Hold my legs. Hold my legs. I do not want to fall.
Stage after stage, the crowds kept growing. XXXTentacion, once a teenage rebel locked away, now stood in front of thousands. It was built from pain, from truth, and that's exactly why an entire new generation connected to him. But it wasn't just X. Around him stood a group of young dreamers, his crew. None of them were professional producers. They didn't have big studios or rich mentors. What they had was hunger. Night after night, they sat in dark rooms, laptops open, speakers buzzing, YouTube tutorials playing. They studied FL Studio, experimented with sounds, downloaded new plugins, chopped beats. Every mistake taught them something. Every experiment brought them closer to their own style. X and his team weren't just making songs. They were creating a whole new sound, raw, distorted, unapologetic. The type of music that made you feel something deep inside. They dropped tracks on SoundCloud, and almost overnight, the likes started pouring in. Comments exploded. The underground was waking up. Within weeks, songs like Look at Me were going viral. From local shows to international buzz, the wave had begun. But X wasn't just riding it. He was leading it on stage. He gave the crowd more than music. He gave them energy, hope, a voice for the voiceless. And through every Instagram live, he spoke from the heart. You matter. You're not alone. Behind the scenes, friends like Ski Mask the Slump God helped sharpen every track, every beat. Together, they weren't chasing fame. They were building a movement. And now, the world was finally starting to listen. Behind the stage lights, behind the millions of views, there was still a young boy searching for love. In his teenage years, XXXTentacion fell deeply in love. Before the fame, before the headlines, just a boy and a girl trying to find peace in a chaotic world. But life wasn't easy. As his career rose, personal struggles followed. Yet, through all the chaos, one thing brought X a new kind of hope. The news that he would become a father, the birth of his son, Gekyum, gave X a reason to keep going, to fight harder, to love deeper. He often said, I want my child to know that he can be better than me. For the first time, life wasn't just about music or survival. It was about legacy, about giving his son the love and guidance he never had. In that moment, X was no longer just fighting for himself. He was fighting for his future.
The rapper XXXTentacion has been shot, apparently targeted while shopping for a motorcycle on the ambush at him.
The rapper, who went by the name XXXTentacion, is dead following a shooting.
Brutally murdered in cold blood during a robbery attempt on him outside a motorsports dealership in South Florida.
June 18th, 2018, an ordinary summer afternoon in Deerfield Beach, Florida. At exactly 3:56 p.m., Yase Onfroy, known as XXXTentacion, stepped into his black SUV outside Riva Motorsports, fresh from signing merchandise inside. Suddenly, a black Dodge Journey blocked his path. Two masked men rushed out, guns drawn. Michael Boatwright and Trayvon Newsom forced their way in, demanding his money, a Louis Vuitton bag, containing nearly $50,000 in cash, was snatched. What began as a robbery turned fatal in an instant. He was shot multiple times, right there in his seat. Within moments, paramedics arrived. X was rushed to Broward Health North, but it was too late. By 5:30 p.m., authorities confirmed the worst. XXXTentacion was dead. A violent ambush that left the music world and his fans shaken. But this is not the end of his story. What started as a robbery quickly turned barbaric. Moments after X stepped out of the store, his car was deliberately blocked by a masked SUV. Inside the vehicle were Michael Boatwright, Trayvon Newsom, and accomplices, four men with one brutal plan. Their target. A Louis Vuitton bag filled with around $50,000 in cash, the artist's merchandise earnings. What began as theft quickly turned deadly. Surveillance and court documents show Boatwright drew a .22 caliber pistol and shot XXXTentacion while he was still inside the car. A handheld video later showed them taunting and celebrating, flashing the stolen bills like trophies. Authorities found that this wasn't just an opportunity crime. It was premeditated. The four men were arrested within weeks. Three of them, Boatwright, Newsom, and Williams, were later convicted and handed life sentences. It was more than a robbery. It was the end of a rising star, taken by greed, violence, and betrayal. The news of X's death spread like wildfire. Within hours, fans flooded social media. Grief, confusion, heartbreak everywhere. He had 10.4 million Spotify streams in a single day for Sad, and tributes poured in across platforms. Time.com. The hip-hop world mourned a young, divisive, yet powerful voice silenced too soon. Artists, fans, even critics paused to reflect, many acknowledging the lasting impact he had on a generation. Meanwhile, law enforcement moved swiftly. Within 48 hours, Dedrick Williams, previously convicted of car theft, was arrested. Over the next weeks, Michael Boatwright, Trayvon Newsom, and a fourth accomplice, Robert Allen, were also taken into custody. Police recovered the stolen Louis Vuitton bag, ballistic evidence, and surveillance footage that showed the killers exiting X's SUV. Prosecutors called them predators, detailing how the crime was planned and executed with chilling precision. And that was just the beginning of a story that would reveal betrayal, greed, and a tragic end to a life that still inspires. When news of XXXTentacion's death spread across the world, the internet lit up. Fans were in shock. The media flooded with headlines. And millions of people, even those who had never heard his name, rushed to search. Who was XXXTentacion? Why did he matter? Suddenly, the music that once belonged to an underground scene was everywhere. His Spotify streams shattered records. On the day of his death, Sad became the most streamed song in a single day. Within weeks, it hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, making X one of the rare artists to top the charts posthumously. YouTube videos racked up hundreds of millions of views. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok flooded with clips of his raw performances, his words about pain and purpose. But this wasn't just a wave of curiosity. For many, it was discovery. A voice that spoke to their struggles, a voice that didn't pretend to be perfect. His music became therapy for millions battling depression, loss, loneliness. His honesty, brutal and unfiltered, gave him something few artists could: hope. In the end, XXXTentacion became more than a rapper. He became a symbol, a reminder that even broken voices can sing the loudest. The rising star may have fallen, but through the speakers, in the hearts of fans worldwide, his light still burns. And legends never die.
Kicking my pants. My bitch don't love me no more. She give me out on like bro. That bitch don't wanna be friends. I give her this to your man. She put her 10 on my dick.
He came from chaos, shaped by pain. But somehow, XXXTentacion turned all that into something powerful. He gave a voice to the broken, a rhythm to the silent cries of a generation. His music wasn't perfect, but it was real. He didn't wear a mask for the world. He showed his flaws, his rage, his love, all unfiltered. Through every song, every message, he taught young people to feel, to heal, to fight. Even with all the controversy, one truth remains. X tried to change. He tried to grow. He wanted to become the light he never had. And in the short 20 years he lived, he sparked something that can't be killed. His music still heals. His words still echo. His energy still lives on. In every fan, every kid who felt alone until they heard his voice. XXXTentacion may be gone from this world, but his chapter is written in bold, and his legacy, unforgettable